Okay.
Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you taking the time out to be here to listen to what I have to try to explain today. I'm going to show everybody how to take their blood pressure. Everybody here has a blood pressure. Everybody here has a circulatory system, has a heart.
Sometimes.
So, your blood pressure. Everybody knows that when we come in and we take your blood pressures, that it, one, tells us whether or not we can give a medication. Two, tells us what kind of stress levels you guys are at. Three, tells us if you have increased fluids in your body or if you're dehydrated. So we look at several different factors when we do check your blood pressure, not just the two numbers. The two numbers that are in that are your systolic and your diastolic. So there's a top number and a bottom number. The top number, the systolic, is what the pressure when your heart is actually pumping. When your heart is squeezing, that is the top number. Typically, that number is higher than the diastolic. The diastolic number is when your heart is at rest. So if you can imagine your heart, when it squeezes, there's your top number, your high number. And then when your heart relaxes each time your heart beats, then that's the low number. And we typically start to look at your higher numbers, your systolics, when we're going to give medications or when we try to find out what your cardiovascular health is, where it is in relation to what the standard norms are. So I am going to show you guys, and you've seen it many times, but I'm going to show you guys exactly how to take an accurate blood pressure and how to read it. So we have multiple different ways of taking them. We have the towers that you guys see that we bring in, and they have the blood pressure reading that comes out on the monitor. We have these that are called manual cuffs. These here we use by squeezing the bulb and then using a stethoscope to listen to when we hear your pulse in your arm. And then they have smaller ones that, I don't know if any of you have purchased any of these in the past, but you can get them at any kind of little drugstore, Walgreens or Walmart, and they're super handy to have just for your own knowledge, just so you can check your own if you're curious. We're going to start off with something like this. So these here, they're just a little machine. They've got one button on them. They're not complicated, even I can work them. So you put one of these on
3 minutes.
on your wrist, and you want your wrist to kind of be about heart level. If you have your wrist dropping way down here, then you have increased pressure, which then raises your blood pressure reading, and so it's a false reading. So you want to keep it about heart level, and all you do is hit one little button. Simple thing. And it will start to read out your blood pressure. When it finishes, we'll get an idea of what my blood pressure is. Now, since I'm giving a speech in front of you all, it's probably going to be a little bit higher because I might be a little nervous. So when it comes out, we're going to know exactly what my cardiovascular health is like.
How long do you leave it?
These things usually take maybe a minute at the very most to work. Some of the older ones, the manual ones, they take a little bit longer sometimes, depending on how efficient somebody is or proficient somebody is with using them. You have to listen a lot closer in order to hear what you're looking for. Lots of times in doctor's offices, these will show up and these are what you guys will use. Okay. We're not going to read what my blood pressure says. Mine was high. So, do you see the big numbers that are there?
Yeah.
You see all those?
Yeah,
See
okay.
how large they are? Super simple to read. Now, if one of you had a blood pressure that high, I might be concerned. So, a couple things. With technology and how important blood pressures are in your everyday life, how easy these are to use are ideal And everybody, I feel like, would be able to use one with being taught one simple time. So, just to correlate what the difference is between your blood pressure reading and how you feel, you'll know exactly what you need to do as far as your health goes and what this actually says to you. Does everybody seem to kind of get a grasp on that, how simple it could be?
And we'd all run down to the desk and you'd throw us all out.
Well, I don't know if I'd throw you out. But anyhow, thank you all very much for spending these couple minutes with me and listening to my speech. I appreciate it.